Welcome to the September 15th, 2021 edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series, brought to you by the National Urban League. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm, East Coast Executives. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. The Digital Career Success Series, DCSS, is a professional development series that helps members of our Urban League Young Professional chapters and other diverse job seekers develop new skill sets that will enhance their careers through digital platforms such as webinars and Facebook Live. The goal is to provide an opportunity for professional development right from one's computer. Today's DCSS, Money Matters, sponsored by the Adecco Group, features Wayne W. Williams. Listen, let me talk to you real quick about Adecco. If you're looking for a new career, here's why you need to consider Adecco. Adecco's ambition is to set the standard as a world-class employer, investing in people and creating an environment which enables and empowers everyone to succeed. They were voted among the top 25 global companies to work for 5 years in a row in the Great Place to Work rankings. They work with over 1,000 organizations in 60 countries, so pretty much wherever you're at, and Adecco can serve as your support. Also, if you're here in New York City, they have Jamie Lupo there working. Jamie, I used to work with Jamie. She's amazing. So Adecco, a great resource. Whether you're looking for a temporary, temp to hire or direct hire job, they've got you covered. They have thousands of opportunities throughout the US, both remote and in person. All right, listen, if you follow my social media, I've been telling you I'm excited about this one right here. I got Wayne W. Williams to talk about Money Matters on the Urban League Job Network Digital Career Success Series. Wayne W. Williams, what's good?
Hey, brother KJ.
Listen, man,
we go back a ways.
We go back a long ways. I'm excited to have you here, man. You're looking great, of course, as usual.
I gotta bring Philly swagger to the table. Black
I know what you do. Somewhere on Broad Street, they are screaming TU. Wayne, professor at Temple University. Wayne, I'm not going to drop the bio. I'm going to leave that up to you. So tell them about Wayne W. Williams.
Oh man, thank you for the opportunity, and to the Urban League audience and those that have joined in today. Coming from Temple University, I'm in my home office, but I'm coming from Temple University. So shout out to our president, Dr. Jason Wingard, and the dean of the Fox School of Business where I teach, which is Ron Anderson. So pleasure to be here. My background, man, I started out, man, while I was in Temple University as an analyst at the Federal Reserve Bank in Philadelphia. I've done like everything from, I'm an accountant by trade. So, I did some accounting for both government and nonprofit, worked for a CPA firm where I became an analyst for small businesses. And I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own tax practice. Along my path, man, I picked up a whole lot of letters and alphabet soup. So I've been a stockbroker, an investment advisory representative, an insurance agent. I got an undergraduate degree in accounting, a master's degree in taxation, a doctorate degree in higher education from the University of Pennsylvania. So, I love school. I love to learn. Money has been fascinating to me in terms of understanding it. In my career now, what I really focus in on is policy. So I do a lot around tax policy in Philadelphia. And I've worked with small business owners, worked in an initiative that comes out of Babson College, which is the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business program that really helps business owners think about growth plan and how to grow their businesses. And, I'm a faculty member. I teach taxation and auditing and accounting at the Fox School of Business. So pleasure to be here.
Again, man, it's a pleasure to have you. I noticed all the shares on the LinkedIn posts coming from your network, and I'm looking through at some of the businesses, and I'm like, these are all businesses that Wayne has supported. So I knew we had the right person to speak about this topic, Money Matters. It's really important that we kind of piggyback on the conversation that Nicola Evans had 2 weeks ago about entrepreneurship, and I just thought you would be the best possible guest to have on to speak about the pieces that you bring to the table. So I'm going to step back we have a great audience, Wayne, traditionally on the Digital Career Success Series. So there's going to be questions that come into the chat and the Q&A. I'll manage all of that along with the with the National Urban League team in the background, pushing questions, answering questions. So for our audience, I see you guys checking in, North Carolina, Philly, Tampa. Listen, keep the questions coming, and I'm going to sit back and let Wayne do his thing. Mr. Wayne W. Williams, let's go.
Appreciate you, man. I'm humbled by all that accolades that you gave. So really what I want to talk about is a lot of people think about accounting as numbers. So I really want to start by trying to level set. So Ken, the idea of level set means that I'm trying to make sure that everybody in the audience has the same basis for how they're able to think through what we're going to discuss, which is, money matters as it relates to financing a business, right? And so there are some key terms. And just for everybody to understand, accounting is actually not numbers, it is the language of business. So if you think of the dictionary, you think of Webster's. So when you think of business, I want you to think of accounting is the dictionary for all business. So all of the terminology that is used throughout business actually is derived from accounting, because what we have to do is take those ideas, categorize them, quantify them, and then produce financial statements. So there's some key terms that people throw around. I want to give some level set to these key terms. And so they're presented to you on the slide deck you got in front of you. The first one, entrepreneurship, business plan, a concept of an advisory board for a small business owner, business management, what is that as a skill, funding strategy, what is the cost of capital? And I want to introduce the new term, which is a CDFI. So is that a good way to start?
Man, that's an excellent way to start. I'm excited about it. As an entrepreneur and business owner, I think this is something that you have to continue to learn, right? This particular piece of it never gets old, and you can always learn new things. So I'm excited. Let's do it.
Beautiful. So the first term is entrepreneurship. So people use, I want to be an entrepreneur. And so next slide, Kanji. If you're talking about being an entrepreneur, it comes from the word entreprendre in French. So do you speak French? So if you look at the word, it's like filet mignon. It's a French word, right? And what the word actually means is undertaking. Now, this word comes from Jean-Baptiste Say. He adopted it from Adam Smith, who was like the founder of political economics, right? And so what Adam Smith said is the laissez-faire approach to economics is leave it to be, right? So the idea that free markets can regulate themselves by virtue of competition, by virtue of self-interest, right? By virtue of supply and demand. That was Adam Smith. What Jean-Baptiste Say said is we need to take into consideration and add on, there's the enterprising spirit of the business owner that you need to add into this mix of your philosophy. So he didn't disagree with Adam Smith, he added entrepreneurship into it. So entrepreneurship is actually someone who undertakes risk. So it's very important that people understand that what you're doing is you're identifying yourself as a risk taker. Now you can have entrepreneurship and have a job. You could be an intrapreneur, right? And so I want everybody to think about entrepreneurship as a mindset. It's a kind of mindset that you have and a passion that you bring to the table. So I say, parlez-vous français, entrepreneurship, right? So Kanji, next slide. So the first thing that I want to kind of, lead into after you think about entrepreneurship is the whole idea of what you need to start with as an entrepreneur. A lot of people, they'll have a great idea, it comes to mind, bang, I know I can make some money. Okay, great. You have to start with a business plan. Often what you find with entrepreneurs is they haven't taken that time to step back. Now you talked about, even in your business at East Coast Executives, before we came on, you need to take a time to step back, evaluate where you are, kind of strategize what your next steps are going to be. That is the business plan, and it's, as you have already started out your business. So business planning is extremely important because what it does is it allows you to evaluate what is the merit of the idea. Because you can have a good idea, but can you actually turn that idea into something that is profitable, right? And profit means that you got to add some numbers to that idea. And then you need to determine whether or not that idea is sustainable, right? So can you actually sustain the business once you start it, right? It's no good if you get it up off the ground, but you can't create a profit that makes it worthwhile for you financially, and then more importantly, keep that business up and going. So you need to look at what resources you bring to the table, because we're talking about capitalism. So, passion without capital is just passion, right? We need capital to be involved in that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what is the definition of capital. So I'm also going to talk about what are other resources that you need to have available when you start a business in order to make that business successful. In the beginning, you never have enough, but at least understanding those resources are important for you to actually have a successful start to a new venture.
Hey, Wayne, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Where can someone find, say I'm just starting out, where can I find a business plan template? Or do I need that? Like how intricate does my business plan need to be when I'm just starting out?
Yeah, so you definitely, right? And I believe Nicola just went through this. She gave you a beautiful rundown of what is in that business template just 2 weeks ago on the series. But a great source of that would be Biz Plans or B Plans, which they actually have templates. So what you'll find is there's really no new idea under the sun. So there is existing templates for different business ideas through Biz Plans or bplans. I think it's .com or .org. You can go out there. Some of them are free, but if you actually want to populate that business plan, it may be a cost associated with it. So filling out that business plan is important because it will help you go through an analysis of the viability of the business opportunity. Is it an idea or is it a viable business opportunity? That is critical, right? And once you do that, really what you're going to find out is the answer, which is what do you need in order for you to actually be successful in business, right? So you don't want to start the business, discover that you put your resources into the business, start the business, and now you're like, oh man, I forgot about this, or I didn't consider that. And so now I have these needs and I don't have existing resources available in order for me to satisfy those needs. So, determining your needs is the ultimate objective of doing the business plan. All right, Kanji, can you go to the next slide? Go ahead, Ken.
I said, excellent. Hey, listen, Wayne referenced Nicola Evans. If you want to see Nicola's DCSS, please feel free to visit the Urban League Job Network's YouTube channel, where you will find Nicola and a ton of other past Digital Career Success Series shows. And this actual episode will probably be on in about a few days. So a great place to get those resources, Wayne.
Beautiful. So if we think about entrepreneurship, let me define it a couple different ways, right? So you have an entrepreneur, the vast majority, Ken, of entrepreneurs are actually self-employed, right? So, and actually, they don't have a business per se where they have employees, they are self-employed. And so that is a form of a business, right? You could be self-employed, you could be a sole proprietorship, you could be an LLC, you could be a S corporation. If you have other individuals that start their business with you, you could be a partnership or you could be a C corporation. The entity type is based upon what it is that you're trying to do and how you intend to grow. All of these things, once you get that business up in the air, means that you need to have a different skill from the idea, and that's business management. Business management is actually a skill, and that's why we have business schools, right? So what we teach in business school is how to go about managing your business, right? And so I just want to talk about two concepts that are fundamental that you find out. One is an economic concept, and it's the 4 factors of production. The 4 factors of production relate to someone who is producing a product or service. They need to take into consideration as resources, what land or buildings do they have in as resource before they start? Where will they acquire labor to help them execute the business plan? And where will they get capital from? Capital, in this sense, could be 2 different things, right? So I think there's 3 definitions of capital. You can use CAPITOL and say the capital of Pennsylvania is Harrisburg. Or you could use capital in an accounting way, which means that it is equipment. So capital is equipment, and that's different than capital in finance. Capital in finance means money. So when you use the term capital, are you referring to capital as resources that you're using in your business in terms of equipment, if you're manufacturing something, or are you talking about capital in terms of financing that you use in order to meet your objective in terms of executing your business plan? So just thinking about resources, you need to consider the 4 factors of production. All right, so then business management is the diagram that you have on the right-hand side. And you'll see that it's 4 components to business management, right? So it's planning, it's organizing your resources, it's controlling your resources, and it's leading the organization. Those are functions of actually managing a business. Ultimately, what you're doing as a business manager is you are trying to maximize profit, right? So it's no good for you to start a business and you're not making any money. That defeats the purpose, right? And so we have different types of businesses. I could have a lifestyle type business, right? In which I want to go out, my mission is really my priority. And so it allows for me to tackle some objective that I think is a problem that I see in society. And so it's kind of like I want to lead a certain lifestyle. And so this freedom that I get through entrepreneurship allows for me to have a lifestyle business, right? And so it is self-employment, right? More than 80% of small businesses are self-employed. And so let's give some numbers to what is a small business. According to the Small Business Administration, federal government, we teach this in taxation. Like a small business is a business that has less than $26 million in receipts. So revenue of $26 million, when you think of small business, we often think of something that we might see on Main Street, where it's a small business or a consulting type of business. A small business could have up to 100 employees and have less than $26 million and still qualify as a small business. So the vast majority of small businesses are solopreneurs. They only employ just themselves. And so that's an important kind of thought when you are going into business. Are you actually creating jobs for others, or are you trying to make yourself self-employed? There is no right answer to either one of those. It's just understanding that before you start. So we can have a lifestyle business. We can also have a growth business, the type of business where the idea is scalable, right? In order to be able to scale, that's when you're going to need additional resources, right? So if I'm doing taxes myself, there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so many months in a year in which there's tax season. So I can only process so many tax returns if I'm doing it myself. If I employ others, I can complete more tax returns. And so then I'm able to scale my business and my practice and get it to serve more customers. So thinking about scale in the very beginning is important. Understanding your resources can be detrimental if you don't understand them. So it's critical that you understand those resources up front. Now, if I have a growth business, now I can begin to think about where can I seek out additional financing if I'm intending to grow. And some people have a growth business in which there is, I would like to control my growth, whether it is growing it in terms of expanding my sales, or if it's growing the business and figuring out a way to maximize my profit. Both of those are growth strategies for a business. The last one that I think people should think about is legacy business, right? And so, do I have a legacy business? Am I building this business and I want it to be a continuing entity even after I'm gone? So we could look at big businesses and think about big businesses. They started out as an idea, they then scaled those businesses and they created them as a legacy. So those are different ways in which you can think about what is the type of business that you have. Is it a business in which is lifestyle? Is it growth oriented, or is it a legacy type of business? Kanji, next slide for me, please. So small business owners often try to do everything themselves. So to me, what you kind of want to be able to do is develop what you would find in a large corporation, which large corporation puts together a management team. right? So if you're a small business owner, you want to have your own management team. So we all hear the term CEO, but we don't always think about CFO, the COO, the CIO, the risk manager, legal counsel. All of those are critical to a successful business. And if we look at any large business, we'll find all of those roles are fulfilled. And so as a small business owner, it is critical that you develop your own management team and you can outsource all of those functions, even if you are a sole proprietor. So I kind of think of like the COO would be someone who is an accountability partner, right? Somebody that makes sure that they're advising you or coaching you through, hey, you know what, did you complete that? Are you working on that? How well is your business operating? That accountability partner could sometimes be a mentor. Critical to have a mentor who's already been there, done that, and can give you some advice. Accountant and financial advisor. So Ken, I am the faculty advisor at Temple for the National Association of Black Accountants. And the National Association of Black Accountants is a national organization that was founded in 1969. The percentage of Black CPAs in the United States of America is still only about 1%. We have about 5,000 Black CPAs in the United States. And here's something that I find with a lot of African-American businesses. They do not seek out an accountant as a partner at the start of their business. They usually look for an accountant after they either get in trouble with the taxes or when they're trying to find financing. You want to have a partner with an accounting professional right out the door. You also want to think about having a financial advisor. Your business and the business making money is different than you as the individual and how you are making money. So having a financial advisor will help you think about what are you doing in terms of your own personal insurance, whether that's life insurance, health insurance, disability insurance, whether you have the right type of insurance for your business, errors and omissions, directors and officer liability insurance. That kind of knowledge, you don't necessarily bring that to the table unless you have that business management skill. Because we're in a digital environment, you gotta have somebody that does technology. A lot of people think about, hey, I wanna start an app. Well, you're gonna have to outsource that app because you don't know how to write the algorithms. So that's an additional cost. If you're gonna have a website, if you're gonna do things in terms of marketing, social media, getting someone that can help you develop the strategy, that's critical. Ken, I think you had a question.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of agreeing to what you were speaking about regarding the accountant piece. And I didn't know you were, I should have assumed you were affiliated with the National Association of Black Accountants out there. I've spoke to Alana several times because we've been doing some work up there. But yeah, you guys are doing some great work. So please continue doing that work. Absolutely.
Alana Whittle is our new Philadelphia president, and we have a new national president that is coming to visit Temple University probably in the next month or so. Her name is Gulaine St. Just. And so if you don't know about NABA, go to nabainc.org and you can find out about how to locate an African-American accountant professional to help you with your business. And so risk management is really thinking about the downside, right? Everybody who's starting a business wants to think about the upside, but you know what? Asset protection is critical. So having an insurance advisor will help you think about how to make sure that you have insulated yourself from the idea of being an entrepreneur. Remember, an entrepreneur undertakes risk. So you need someone to help you think about what types of insurance you need to have in your enterprise to protect not only yourself, right, but also your business, right? Because we know that lawsuits do happen. A lot of people think about, hey, you know what? I want to start an LLC. It's the most popular form of starting a business because of the ease of administration. It's been around since the 1980s. But let me tell you something, Ken, an LLC is not always the right way to start your business. It is not the only entity type. And so if you think about what LLC stands for, it stands for legal liability company. And so guess what? You need to have both an accountant and an attorney, right? Because when you're thinking about starting a business, you take on the legal liability of what that business does. You can be sued. And so having an attorney is essential to operating a business. Ken, this is how deep this is. When I meet an entrepreneur, I say, who's your accountant and who's your attorney? If they can't answer both of those questions, I know that they haven't taken the time to go through their business plan and taking the time to figure out what does this business look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Those two partners are critical for you to go through profitability and sustainability. Get yourself an accountant and an attorney, everybody.
No, well, that's great advice. Before we get too far away from this, I want to go to the Q&A and ask the question that was presented by David, and basically wants to know, who or what do you trust to decide if your idea is viable? Friends, family, what's your thought on that?
Right. So we all hear the term marketing, right? And when we think about marketing, really what we think about is market promotion. But to David's question, beautiful question, you need to do market research, right? So you need to understand, what is the consumer thinking about your idea? So again, nothing new under the sun. Market research, BLIS, is one source of market research. Probably if you have something like we have in Philadelphia, we have something in Philadelphia, which is through our free library. It costs $0. You join the free library of Philadelphia, and you can get information from the Business Resource Information Center, called BRIC. You get tons of market research. It will give you demographic data. What zip code are you actually targeting in your idea? Are you targeting something that's national? Do you have a geographic location? Who is the likely consumer in terms of age? What is their spend? How much disposable income do they have? What does their household income look like? Is it for the children in the household? Is it targeting seniors? Is it targeting baby boomers? Understanding all of that is the answer to David's question. You want to do your market research. That happens in the business plan. So trust the data, and then you can get the opinion of your family and friends.
Love it.
Beautiful. The last item I have on here is triple asterisk, and it says banker. Now, you want to have a relationship with your banker. And this is critical because this is where a lot of businesses run into trouble when they're seeking financing. No one at the bank knows their business. When you first start your business out and you go establish that business bank account, it is critical for you to establish a relationship with that banker. So I'll give you an example, Ken. I go, and this is going back, man, when I used to have, sometimes people still give checks, but you don't even have to go in the bank branch anymore. But going to the bank branch, man, I used to take in $25 gift cards and hand them out to the tellers that would do my deposits for me throughout the year. Man, do you know what kind of, that's currency. When I go in that bank, everybody knows, hey, what's up, Brother Wayne? You know what I mean? They know who I am, right? And they know what's going on with my business. So they'll say, hey, man, I see you haven't been here for a while. What's going on? I say, hey, guess what? Tax season ended. I may have some family stuff going on. I may have been on travel for a while. That's why you haven't seen me here, or I've been doing my stuff online. Going in and talking to that banker is critical. So what I want everybody to know is, if you are seeking out bank financing, you need to have a relationship with the bank. Here is a true fact. I sit on loan committee for the Philadelphia Industrial Development Corporation. The people that got the PPP and the ideal loans those phone calls came from the bankers to the business owners that knew who the business owners were. So when the money came from the federal government came to the bank, they actually started calling their very best customers and saying, hey, get your app in for me. Some people say, hey, how do you get to the money? Well, you get to the money because you know the bank. So I put that as a triple asterisk because I don't know that our community actually understands this. Know the people in the bank. You're putting your money as a deposit in there. They're charging you fees. Develop that relationship with that banker, so when it comes time for you to financing, they know who you are, they understand your business.
You know, Wayne, I worked for a company. This is early in my career, right? Before I started my business. And the company I worked for was owned by two African-American women. And it was staffing. So sometimes, you know, you're meeting payroll every week, but your clients may not be paying you 30, 60, 90 out, right? So
that's right.
That presented some challenges on occasion for them, but they had an amazing relationship with a bank that allowed them to float some of that. And it kept them up. And that was the relationship piece. They had a great relationship with the bank. It was very strategic. They actually moved to a building that was above the bank, right? They moved into office space above the bank. Just to, I don't know if that was to solidify the relationship, but it did do a lot of good in moving them in that direction.
Beautiful. So Nancy gave a thumbs up on that idea. Go to the bank this week. Just introduce yourself, ask for customer service, sit down, just introduce yourself to that relationship person in that bank, because that's what they're sitting there for. You don't just go to the teller. Make sure you're utilizing that as a resource. When it comes time for you to seek financing, they already know who you are. That's critical because they actually make the loan decision based off of character, understanding your business, and the integrity, knowing some things about your business. They can look on the computer, but they don't know you as an individual. So that is very, very important.
Man, listen, hey, I want to let the audience know, keep the questions coming. We're going into Q&A pretty soon. So keep the questions coming. I'll see you guys in there. Thank you so very much. Wayne, they're excited. I can't wait to get to the Q&A.
Hey, man, everybody likes to talk about money.
Let's do it.
Hey, listen, there's 3 ways for you to actually go about funding your business. I don't care what you call it. So I want everybody, I'm breaking this down to its core fundamentals. Either you got your own money, you're gonna borrow money, or you're gonna get an investor, the end. Now there's a whole lot of terms, right? And these terms are used for marketing purposes to make people that they're doing something really innovative. But ultimately, bootstrapping has been around since the beginning of time. What is bootstrapping? Bootstrapping means you develop, hey, you know what? I'm working a job, I'm putting some money aside, and I'm working this job so I can start my own business. I got some retirement savings, I've been saving that money, but you know what? I'm going to take that retirement savings, I'm going to fund it. Or what happens when you get an inheritance, right? So we know that there is a difference between wealth in this country for African Americans and others, but people do receive inheritance. That inheritance sometimes is a source of bootstrapping and self-financing your own business. Now, a lot of people will go to family and friends, and that's called gifts. And so if you get the money and you don't owe anything back to that person, that is considered a gift. And one innovative way of gifting to a business, Ken, is called crowdfunding, right? So I want to do crowdfunding. Well, you know what? If crowdfunding works, but it's actually, you're just gifting to support that business. And we have lots of businesses throughout the pandemic here in Philly, man, that were able to survive just by utilizing crowdfunding. But I got a call from an entrepreneur, and here's what their question was: do I owe any taxes on that money? And I said, aha, beautiful question. Because if that is an investor, then that became a source of capital, and that investor, you have to account for that money as the investor. If they gave the money to you, no strings attached, no equity involved, that was called a gift. That is a legal determination of what the source of crowdfunding is. So you have to keep track of that going back to the accounting. So again, bootstrapping, self-financing, using the profits from your business and turning those profits into funding. Like you said, hitting payroll, that's called working capital. Can you actually fund your own payroll in your business? So if you can't do it, you're going to have to look for outside sources. A lot of people look to borrowing. So they have to go to a bank. So they may go to a bank, and the bank is a source where you borrow. And they're going to charge you money for that money. That money is not free, right? So you have to then take into consideration the idea of what is called cost of capital. And so there are formulas that we use as accountants to determine cost of capital. What is the project? Does that even make sense for you to borrow money at that rate of interest in terms of how does that borrowing compare to the rate of return that you're going to get on the project? Does it actually pay back and then inure a profit to you as a business owner? So just thinking about borrowing, you got to think about the cost of capital. Your network, are you a member of any of the chambers? The chambers provide lots of resources and opportunities for small business owners to find out about some alternative lending sources that include CDFIs. And so borrowing is one way, but you got to consider cost of capital. Now, the third one is, you know what? I'm looking for somebody to invest in my business. Okay, cool. Well, guess what? That ain't free either. As a matter of fact, that's the most expensive way, because what they're going to ask in return is equity out of your business, which means now you are not 100% the owner of your business. So if you watch Shark Tank, you will see everybody that pitches in front of Shark Tank, they'll say, I'll give you the money, and now I own 48% of your business or 40% of your business. And so now what you've done is taken your business and now you work for the other person. So venture capital is really two forms. One of them is called angel investors. An angel investor is an individual, like you see on Shark Tank, that's really focused in on helping small business owners out. When we talk about venture capital, what we're talking about, these are really wealthy investors that are looking for high growth opportunities. And so you'll see that in some of the publicly traded companies. The larger companies are actually seeking that venture capital out. So angel investors are sometimes called venture capitalists. I'm just delineating the terms. And so when you think about cost of capital, you got to think about how much is the project that I'm undertaking, is that going to return to me? How much is it going to cost me to get that money in order to execute that project? That's how you use the numbers to determine whether or not the project is even worthwhile. Now, when you go to get money, there are basically 5, and there's really probably 10 criteria, but I just put the 5 most important things up there. Entrepreneurs that don't have any management experience need to consider that slide I showed you about your advisory board. You got to know your numbers. So if you don't have management experience, and Ken, I saw you posting on LinkedIn, man, you did your reminiscent tour, right? And so literally, man, you told your story, man. If I was a lender, I say, hey, listen, he got his vision out of that gold building in Pittsburgh, where he got the vision for going into HR. And then he drove down Broad Street, man, and he talked about how he was working the job, how he moved up, how he was given the opportunity, how he had mentors. That's management capacity, right? And so ultimately that is a criteria that a lender would use to say, you know what? I would think about Ken, he knows that business. He's got a track record of success being in human resources. So East Coast executives, we give them a high mark in management capacity, right? Financial capacity talks about credit worthiness. Now you can't have bad credit and ask the bank for no money, right? And so the bank is taking a risk. So I want us to think about, is that racist if you got bad credit? If you got bad credit, then guess what? You got a high interest rate. They're doing you a favor because you're not going to make money if you're borrowing money at a high rate of interest. So your own personal credit worthiness is considered. So you got to get your credit together when you're going into business. This can be a challenge, but if you understand what resources you have available before you start, you can manage your credit a lot better. A lot of businesses are knowledge-based businesses, and so they don't have collateral. The bank is looking for what type of collateral. In other words, if you don't pay me back, what can I attach myself to? Entrepreneurs have liens on their home. Entrepreneurs have liens on property that they own. They may not tell you that if you're watching The Breakfast Club, but guess what? That's what's going on, right? There is some collateral involved in the situation, right? And so no slight to The Breakfast Club, but guess what? We can't make it all pop and sizzle. It's gotta be, we understand what the bank is thinking about. They need a recourse for the money that they give. So you don't have any collateral, you don't have any management capacity, you got bad credit, the bank is gonna probably tell you no, right? And so they look at the cash flow from your project. So if you don't have that account, don't have that forecast, we look at this when we're in loan committee, man, you got CPAs, attorneys, and bankers reviewing every loan. You may not understand what your business is doing financially, but the people who are evaluating the finances of your business, they are looking at that before they approve or decline that loan. And one of the things that I loved about David's question is, what is the forecast for your industry? If you haven't done the market research, you got a great idea for yesterday. What does the future of that business look like going forward? Understanding what that forecast is. Can we have businesses, man, that were thinking about doing things in the hospitality space during the pandemic and come to the loan committee and saying, hey, you know what? Everything got shut down. I need money. Well, there's a lot of uncertainty when things were going to open up. And so what did that look like? What was their idea? What were they doing digitally? You know what I mean? So if you were able to actually take and go online and do something with digital e-commerce, then that was a pivot that was necessary. You are adjusting to what is happening. And so that can help you in terms of telling your story through your market research. And so these are the ideas you need to understand about what happens at the bank when they're evaluating a person that comes in that's looking for money.
I just had a conversation with a procurement professional out in Chicago about that, like kind of the way people needed to pivot during the pandemic and how that impacted buying and purchasing. And it was a really interesting conversation about how it kind of impacted the industry as a whole for supply chain and procurement people. So you're speaking the truth there. Let's keep it going so we can get to this Q&A.
Beautiful, good. I mean, to illuminate what you said, let's assume, man, in the pandemic, I'll give you some real life examples. Somebody had a storefront business and it got damaged in the protest. Imagine being uninsured in that kind of scenario. Somebody that another business owner I'm thinking about, it said, hey, guess what? They had a storefront business in which people had to come in and they weren't set up for digital commerce. They weren't prepared for Small Business Tuesday on Amazon.com. So they lost all the opportunity to those sales. So as an entrepreneur, you are constantly under pressure to be able to be flexible, understanding the market dynamic, because remember, it's not your idea, it's how do consumers respond to the product or to the service that you're providing. So next slide for me, Kanji. Let's land this plane. So after you think about funding your strategy, you might want to think about, all right, I want to borrow. And so here's an alternative lender idea, which is a community development financial institution. And so CDFIs are community development banks. They're community development credit unions. They have community development loan funds. They're community development venture capital funds. So these are alternative sources that partner with banks that allow for minority, low resource individuals, small business individuals. They know some of the risks associated with it. So it's not just going to the traditional bank, it's asking the bank about CDFI programs. These partnerships are the ones that actually lend out to small business owners and create success opportunities for those small business owners that may not meet all of that criteria I had. Low collateral, maybe not an established track record like you have at East Coast Executive, Ken, but they know that they have a solid idea that they have backed up by research. Critical to think about CDFIs. And so I put the CDFI locator on there. And so if Adanya can stick that in the link, you could type in where you're located. CDFIs are all around the country. I want everybody to think about this. Capitalism, I read this in the book called The Maestro by Alan Greenspan, is the right to ownership, period. That's how he described it, right? In America, our system of economics is capitalism. Our system of politics is democracy. And so when we're talking about doing business, going all the way back to the beginning, Ken, Adam Smith developed this idea, hey, guess what? You have an economy in which people can participate in their own self-interest. And guess what? John Petit said, guess what? The entrepreneur, important role in that economy. Let's do Q&A.
I love it. That's the way you get that thing done right there.
Yes,
Wayne W. Williams is here, so we're going to take advantage of Wayne being here. And I got a few questions in the Q&A that I want to drop real quick. My man Quasi from Platinum, how should entrepreneurs approach accountants, lawyers, if they aren't a profitable business yet, or don't have the means to pay for those services?
100%. So let me tell you what happens when you go to accountants. They already know that. So what they do is they generally structure the payment for their services over time. I've seen them do it on monthly basis, on quarterly basis, or by service. So you may not be able to afford all of it, but you might have to take baby steps in order to work with that accountant or that attorney. You don't necessarily have to put them on retainer, but if you think about it, if you're paying them over time, then you're on retainer. Accountant may have, you're looking for bookkeeping services in order to be able to quantify what's happening in your business at that time. So approach them and find out what payment arrangements you can make with that professional. They are totally accustomed to working with small business professionals and saying, hey, guess what? You can pay me X number of dollars per month, per quarter, depending on the cycle of the business.
You know what? You just answered that for him. Quasi's my guy, man. He's doing some really interesting things in his space of recruitment. So I'm pulling for him big time. He's going to take that ride.
Let's go, Ronnie.
Yeah, he's going to take that ride and share those stories about his success as well, I'm sure. All right, let's go to Tanji. So this is pretty long, so just stay with me. I would love to know if an S Corp or C Corp is the better model for supervising workforce development and international trade among distinct companies for simulating multiple sustainable development projects, primarily sports fields, and allowing philanthropic equity from those independent construction and landscaping companies to fund an independent STEAM college. It's a mouthful, but I think I understand where they're going.
Beautiful. I kind of get it too. All right, so here's the answer to every question that involves a tax question. It depends, right? So ultimately, the choice of entity between S Corporation and C Corporation, she left out LLC.
Mm-hmm.
In what she described, there are multiple different moving parts. So entity structure may have more than one entity type. In other words, you could have a parent company and subsidiaries. You could have more than one LLC that is a subsidiary of a S Corp. You could have a S Corp in a partnership agreement that's in place. You could have a C Corp. You have two perspectives on that. One, what is the tax consequences of the structure? Two, what is the legal consequences of the structure? So guess what? She ultimately gave the kind of question that she needs to present to her accountant and her attorney so that they can evaluate it based on the numbers and based on what the future growth is over the period of the next couple of years. You may have different people who have financial interest in that concern. And so as a result, I can't answer it just which one is better, because guess what? I'm not looking at any of her information. And so accountants actually say, hey, you told me a story, where's the numbers?
Got it. Love it. Okay, we're gonna keep them rolling. Which bank is best suitable for either a lifestyle, growth, legacy, or LLC business?
Yeah, so I think, there's a couple things, right? So when I think about credit card offerings, I think about what are the rewards that are structured with the credit card, right? So in order to fund what your business does, you look at the credit card based off of the types of rewards, and if those rewards are associated with the things that you're going to be doing in your business. With regard to the bank, you have basically three types of banks. You have a small, local or regional type of bank that you would have. You have a national type of bank that may offer you more products and services, right? But it's more a local regional bank is focused in on businesses operating in that local region. National bank is going to give you the opportunity to grow around the country. So that's a different one. And then thirdly, if you're thinking about an online banking system, then that would be a different type of bank. So if all you're doing is online transactions, you may consider some online banks. And both regional banks and large banks have some online services. You want to look at fee structure and you want to look at relationship. If you can create a relationship with a local or regional bank, they're interested in developing businesses that are successful in that region. They're more likely to give you a closer look because they are already partnered with those CDFIs in your region. So, give a look to your local banks as well as to your national banks. If you have better credit, the national bank might be the better look.
Man, I love it. And don't forget to support some of your African-American owned banks that are out here. We're in need of supporting our communities as well. All right, I'm going to log through. Hey, listen, I see this in the chat. Anika, I appreciate you. We're trying to deliver great content. Nancy is here talking about she will follow people if they put their social media profiles in the chat. That's what the Digital Career Success Series is all about. It's about creating a community of professionals that want to support and help one another. So thank you. Got a question from Sarah, wants to know, is it a good idea to get angel investors as a startup?
I would say it depends, again, right? Because remember, an angel investor is someone who is, if it's a strategic partner, I would say yes. So imagine if you're starting a business and ultimately you want to grow this business. And if you're starting that business, you want to grow that business, you get an angel investor that's in the same space as you. Your growth may facilitate their growth. Now, them as a partner in your business means that you're giving up some of the equity portion. But if you can strategically align the two businesses, then as they grow, you grow and vice versa. So an angel investor that is a strategic partnership, I think is the best source of a small startup going into that kind of arrangement.
I love it. I appreciate it. Okay, I got another question for you, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Is a venture capital agreement over the life of the business, or can the terms/duration be specified? For example, 1 year, 2 year, or once a certain revenue is achieved? Sounds like a Shark Tank question. We might need my man Brandon Andrews to come back on the Digital Career Success Series. Please go to UL Job Network and check out Brandon. He is the person that sources talent, Black talent, for Shark Tank, and we had him on about a month and a half ago. That's a great episode as well. Wayne, what's your thoughts on this?
All right, so let me see if I can break this down. If you get a loan, the terms of the loan are in that loan agreement. In other words, I'm borrowing $50,000. I'm borrowing it at 7% interest. I'm making monthly payments for 5 years, and then I'm done with the loan. That's how a loan agreement works. Venture capital works like this. I am going to give you the resources. I'm now going to get actively involved in the business and help maybe supply some management, connections, other things, resources that you have. If the business becomes profitable, or when the business becomes profitable, I am going to take back X percentage of those profits for me. And so the terms of that could be a little bit longer than that 5 years. Sometimes that venture capital, depending on the amount that they put in there, you could be hitting a metric in terms of the return on their investment. That venture capitalist, if the bank is looking for 7%, the venture capitalist is probably looking for 100%. In other words, they want to double their money. I'll give you the money, but I want it back twice. So it's a more expensive approach in order to approach the angel investor. So people should know that this idea, oh, I'm just going to go in there. If you listen and understand the numbers associated with what's happening in Shark Tank, when they tell you, what was your revenue over the past 2 years? Okay, so what do you think is going to happen over the next 5 years? Okay, so I'm going to take 40% of that, right? And so think about what that really is in terms of the numbers. Just do the math, 40%. If I'm making $150,000 and I'm taking 5 years and I get 40% of that $150,000 over the next 5 years, 40% of $150,000 is $60,000 times 5 is $300,000. So that's a lot, right? So how much are they giving you in order to get that return, right? They're using math. And what I find fascinating about Shark Tank is when you see that they do all the drama, they usually go to a commercial. The person is thinking about whether or not they should give up 40% and whether or not they should do that for $300,000 of investment. If they're not thinking about the numbers, guess what? That's all passion. That's not understanding the capital.
I love it. I love it. Listen, Wayne W. Williams, we could do this all day.
All
we
day.
could do this all day. So, hey, Wayne, listen, I really appreciate you coming through today, my friend. This has been an amazing opportunity. If you don't mind, how can the audience of the Digital Career Success Series stay in touch with you? I think we have a contact information slide here as well, but let them know how to stay connected with Wayne Williams.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. So, reach out on LinkedIn. I'm at the Temple University in the Fox School of Business. So, if somebody needs help, man, I'm committed to supporting not only the success of students, man, that I've had the opportunity and the privilege. Let me tell you, as an educator, right now is a real opportunity for us to give back. And I want everybody to take this extra time that they have and focus in on growing yourself so that you can contribute, man. We got to turn this economy back around. So we need everybody on their A game.
Well, a good way to stay on your A game is to look into some of the offerings of the Adecco Group, our sponsor today. Again, whether you're looking for a temporary, temp to hire, or direct hire job, they got you covered at the Adecco Group. They have thousands of opportunities throughout the US, both remote and in person. It might be a side hustle opportunity. It might be a pivot, whatever it is. Check out the Adecco Group at www.adeccogroupna.com. Once again, www.adeccogroupna.com. We appreciate you. All right, here's what's going to happen. We're going to do it again, right? We are going to do it again. It's virtual equity. Dr. Yolanda Lewis Ragland will be here with us October 6th from 12 to 1 p.m. And she's going to teach you how to discover and overcome unconscious bias and microaggressions in the virtual world. I'm excited about it. I know Dr. Ragland, she is going to deliver. Dr. Yolanda, she is going to deliver big time, just like Wayne W. Williams did today. Wayne, again, on behalf of the National Urban League, Wanda Jackson and the team, Adanya Humphrey, Kanji Jordan holding us down in the back. We'd like to thank you. Dave, I forgot my man Dave. Dave with the social media. This is what we do. It's a team environment here, man. And you were a crucial member to the team today and will always be a DCSS team member. We thank you, sir.
Oh, man, but the pleasure. And, I'm humbled, Ken, man. It's good to see you, KJ. Hey, man, keep on doing the good work, man. I'll be tuning in to see Dr. Yolanda, for sure.
Please do. H2P, man, hell the pit. This is what we're doing out here right now.
Thank you, Adanya and Kanji, and thank you to the audience.
Yeah, the audience, you guys were great today. We appreciate the questions.
Come check me out when you come to Philly up at Temple, man.
We got you. You know that. Hey, listen, you're going to keep receiving information about the National Urban League Virtual Career Fair. It's coming, man. We're right behind it. So it's coming next week. 2 weeks from now. So that information will be in your inbox, I'm sure, but we're excited, man. It's a very exciting time right now as we kind of find our way back to jumpstarting some of these economies. And we're happy that you gave us a kick today to send us in the right direction. My friend, Wayne W. Williams, TU. We'll see you October 6th with Dr. Yolanda. Let's go.